Gentlemen, ladies, what we've got here is a failure. Oh, wait, no, is a Trijicon ACOG TA31 Aurora. Like the other ACOGs in the TA31 line, it has the fiber optic on top for the bend and aiming concept. The bend and aiming concept, or BAC, started life as the ARFCOM OEG, which stands for Occluded Eye Gun Sight. It's this crazy Star Wars looking sight that you couldn't see through it. It had just a light collector up front that illuminated a little red dot inside. And when you looked into it, all you saw was blackness with a little red dot. But the way it works, at least for normal people, is that you put the dot in front of one eye and your brain superimposes that over what your other eye sees. Your right eye, if you're a right-handed shooter, your right eye sees the dot, it superimposes it over the target, and at close ranges, you can be just about as fast as you could with a reflex sight. Later on, red dots and all that made the OEG obsolete, but the concept, the bend and aiming concept, still works with a magnified sight. So your brain doesn't really have to interpret that magnified image that you see through the scope. All it's doing is it's just taking that really bright chevron that's in this and superimposing it over a target at close range. But what sets the Aurora apart from other sights in the ACOG line is its ballistic drop compensator and ranging reticle. Now, yes, other sights in the ACOG line have a BDC and a ranging reticle. Other sights use an ACSS reticle. The Aurora uses the most recent iteration of the ACSS ranging reticle. What it does is it allows you to range a target based on its height. It has these hash marks on both sides of the main aiming point, the chevron in the center. Those hash marks kind of remind me of that old school, it was back in the 80s, there's this submarine video game, I think it was called Gato, and you had these hash marks on either side, and you would use those to lead an enemy ship with your torpedoes. That's not what these are for. These are for ranging. You take the line on the ranging reticle, and you line it up with the bad guy's feet and the top of his head. Whichever line corresponds to roughly his height is the line that represents the distance he's at. This is an AR500 armor steel target. This is Home Depot TSA spec scrap lumber, and I've cut this 2x4 to 5 foot 10 inches, which should be the average height of an adult male, and it's, more importantly, the height that this ranging reticle is calibrated for. You can see it's very close to my height, which is 5 foot 11 inches. What we'll do is I'll use the ranging reticle to determine how far away I think this target is, and I will use the bullet drop compensating portion of the reticle to adjust my hold and hopefully get some hits on target. Now, this rifle was zeroed for 100 meters. We're at a little bit less than 100 meters now. I'll take a couple of pot shots at these steel plates that you'll see up there behind my left shoulder. We'll get a couple of hits on it fairly quick. That's not a too difficult target. Then I'm going to walk up this mountain that's behind you guys, off in that direction, and at an unknown distance, I'll take a few more shots and I'll attempt to use the ranging feature of this sight to see if I can get some accurate hits on these targets, which are roughly about head-sized. Okay, I don't want to embarrass myself too much. My offhanded shooting isn't exactly the best, so let me round my gear up, fire up a different camera while I walk up the hill, because I'm sure as hell not dragging both of these cameras up the hill with me. Okay, so while tons of fun huffs his way up this hill, I wanted to point out the reason that the height ranging feature of the Aurora is so useful. Older ACOG sights ranged by measuring the width of the target's shoulders, or 18 inches. The Aurora still includes this feature, but it also includes the ability to measure the height of the target. When you are measuring a downrange object to estimate distance, the larger the object is that you're measuring, the less room for error there is. Now, obviously, the largest part of a human being is their full height. Older, calming scopes had a height ranging feature across the bottom of the field of view. But if a bad guy is taking a knee or standing where an object obscures his feet, or for whatever reason you can't see his full height, the Aurora Reticle includes a halfway mark that allows you to measure the target from the top of his head to his so you can measure the target's shoulders, his whole body, or half his body. Now, alternatively, that means that you can measure any downrange object if you know it to be approximately 18 inches, 35 inches, or 70 inches respectively. This gives you a lot more options for ranging than most other sites. In addition to the ranging features, the Aurora also has ballistic drop compensation, wind leads, and running leads. It would take quite a while to run through every feature on the Aurora Reticle, but the important takeaway is that it allows a shooter to account for distance and wind, or for a moving target, and it substantially increases first round hit probability without requiring the end user to do math or to make any adjustments to the sight. If that isn't enough for you, the subtensions for just about every point on the reticle are listed in minutes of angle.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and shoot as if this were 300. Pretty sure that was a hit. That was definitely a miss. That was a hit. Hit. Miss. Hit.
Okay, so that white area that you see over my left shoulder there, that's where the target's at. In the sight, the target looked to be just a little bit taller than the 400 meter line, so I guessed it to be at about 300 meters, which is where I started holding. I got a couple of hits off of it, but I think the silencer was throwing off the point of aim just a little bit. They'll do that. I did not zero with the silencer on. I'm gonna push up the hill a little bit and get a few more shots further down range without the silencer, because I think I'll be on target a little bit better anyway without it. But I lased the target before moving out, and it was 294 meters, so my guess was pretty close to the actual as far as distance. Whether I can keep rounds on target or not is another matter. So we're gonna be testing both whether the range finding feature is accurate as well as how well I'm able to put rounds on target. Let's head up the hill.
Okay. So using the ranging lines here, the target is just a hair under the 4 line. So I'm gonna hold as though it was 4, maybe just a little high. There's a little bit of wind crossing right to left. So I'll hold at the right edge of the target. That's a hit. Another hit. 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 Yeah, it's almost like cheating. Man. Oh, I missed. As soon as I get cocky. Hit.
And bear in mind, that's a 10-inch steel circle, so that's give or take, that's a headshot at 400, not just a hit on an E-type silhouette.
And I'm not saying that to brag on my own ability. I'm not that great of a shooter. But this is a pretty fantastic tool, being able to get a headshot at 400 yards with a 4-power sight. That's pretty awesome. I'm impressed.
Okay, so that was a lot of fun. Shooting on a flat range is enjoyable, but nothing beats ringing steel in field conditions. Bear in mind that although 400 meters might sound like it's pretty far, the Aurora will range targets twice as far away. An accomplished rifleman can realistically get consistent hits on human-sized targets at 800 meters using this sight. It can't apply the fundamentals of marksmanship for you. It can't fix a sloppy NPOA or prevent you from dragging your trigger finger. But if you are well grounded in the fundamentals, the Aurora can put hits on target faster than a mil-dot scope because it does the math for you. That's particularly useful for Marines so they don't have to take their boots off to count past 10. Every object made by man is a compromise. On the pro side of things, the Aurora is faster than most other magnified optics, but it isn't as fast as a red dot or a holographic sight. It's more compact and lightweight than many traditional magnified sights, but it is fixed power. It does more than most sights, and it does those things better than most sights. The glass on Trijicon is incomparable, but it simply can't do everything perfectly. Nevertheless, I'm hard-pressed to find much about this sight that I don't like. The biggest shortcoming is that it's fixed power, and that problem is easily remedied with an offset RDS for close-range hosing. It wouldn't be the first time I overlooked something, though. So if you think I missed something, tell me down below in the comments. If comments still even exist on YouTube when you watch this. Speaking of YouTube's wacky, changing environment, I'm sure you know that the future of firearms content is very much in doubt. The biggest thing you can do to help us is to keep watching gun-related content here and on other channels, and to engage with that content as much as possible. If you're inclined to vote more directly with your hard-earned quatloos, consider buying a Hometown Forum shirt on our Teespring store. But I don't ever want you to feel like you owe us anything. YouTube is supposed to be free to the viewer, and I'm grateful for your loyal support. Have a great day.